question was asked, in your opinion, what do you think makes a great film? And it's a question that I find interesting to answer because films are so many different things and can be done for so many different purposes. Films are art. Well, art is subjective. We all respond to art differently. The film business is a business, so they exist to make money. And so there's fantastic movies that lose money, and there's terrible movies that make $1 billion. Well, as a business thing, that was a great film for the purposes of business, while at the same time not being particularly great. Movies are for entertainment, but we're entertained by different things. Movies are meant to make us laugh, but we laugh at different things. Movies can scare us, but some people don't like to be scared. Some people love a ton of gore in a movie. Some people can't handle a drop of blood. And so when it comes to what does it mean for a movie to be great, even beyond that, most movies are narrative-based, but not all of them. And so when I was trying to come up with a broad enough set of questions for what makes for a great movie, that it captures all of that. So the first question that came to mind was, does it accomplish its intended purpose for its intended audience? And different movies have a different intended audience. And not every movie, most movies are not made for everyone. And does it work for the people it's supposed to work for? Like for me, I've never connected with Studio Ghibli films. People adore them. And I get it. Like I could watch them and be like, this is so creative. It's so different. There's so much talent on display here, but my wiring is just not that. Does that mean that Studio Ghibli is bad? Of course not. I'm the weird one that doesn't like them. Doesn't mean that there's not greatness there. Yes?
What's your favorite Studio Ghibli movie?
I don't have one that I've connected with. I haven't seen a ton of them, but I watched Boy and the Heron last year, and it's so not on my wavelength with the way that they're designed as visual poetry and metaphors that, I've been asking people, what's the one that you, in people that know me and my taste in movies, to try and find the one that maybe can be a better on-ramp for me than some of the ones that are a little bit more dream logic, that I'm just not wired that way. So I watch them and I just can't connect with it. But that doesn't mean they're bad. Doesn't mean that these are bad films because they're not for me. And I think that ties into so much of it. Second question, does it offer something new in the genre? There's so many movies that come out that are slick studio films. Technically, they're in focus. They have movie stars that know how to act and be charismatic, but they don't do anything new or different. So they're fine. They're entertaining enough, but they're not great because there's nothing new there. Does the movie have a unique perspective, voice, flavor? Does it just feel like a generic product where there's certain movies you watch them and you think, only that director could make this film? There's even Studio Ghibli. They're so distinct. Miyazaki, where you see it and you go, this one guy makes this film and it's art. It is something special and unique. And then you watch a lot of studio films and they're very clearly overproduced, overdeveloped, rewritten, reshot, focus grouped, and so there's no distinct voice to it. They're in focus, they're slick, they're expensive, but there's nothing personal about any of it. It just feels like a generic thing. What is the difficulty level of what the film accomplishes? There's movies that are good and entertaining, but they're fairly straightforward. And there's movies that are incredibly ambitious and they fail at their big ambitions, which makes reviewing two movies that are very different and you give them the same score for wildly different reasons. This is a very simple film, but it did what it was trying to do. This is a very ambitious film with all sorts of ideas. It didn't quite capture it, but I respect the ambition. They get the same score, but they're wildly different films. And so sometimes it factors in how difficult is it to do what this movie is trying to accomplish. And the last one, does it make the audience feel something? How many movies they're fine, but they don't elicit any sort of reaction from the audience. And I think even of the last this past month, the movie Civil War came out, and some people watched it and they loved it. Some people watched it, they thought it was utter garbage. Other people watched it it was cool, but it was empty and hollow. Other people watched it and they thought it was incredibly deep. It was a movie that everyone who saw it had an opinion about it. And you think, how many movies can it do that? They don't elicit any response from an audience because they're just bland.